And we are recording with Mr. Jack Roth on Monday, May 15th, 2023 at 3:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Author of Killing Kennedy. You've been on here once before. The link to the book will be in the description. And you and I had talked about kind of the importance of uncovering even, 50 years, almost 60 years later, 60 years this fall later, the importance of it because it still has applications to today's political landscape. But there seems to be even a more of a unique twist to this story as Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is now running for president. So that definitely does add a little more uh, spice to it. But with that, Mr. Roth, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, again, I'm the author of Killing Kennedy. Uh, Worked on that book for about 3 years, and it was a series of interviews I did with various people who were associated with either researching or involved with people who were involved in the assassination and knew Kennedy or knew Oswald or
Mm-hmm.
one way, shape, or form, or could add insight to it, and it was great. I enjoyed it very much, and yeah, it's interesting. The RFK thing just kind of blew me away too, because that is so. It's usually important, but it takes a lot of courage
Oh yeah.
for him to come out and say something like that, because I mean they killed his father and uncle,
Yeah.
and here he is now coming out and saying this. So I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I had Dr. Malone on last week and we were talking about RFK and, supporting him. And somebody commented, they're like, "Don't you know what happens when like a Kennedy runs for office?" And I said, "Yeah, normally horrific tragedy follows, but what honor is there in not standing? Oh, I guess we should just put our tail between our legs." What a horrible outlook on life. Like, what happens when you stand up to the bully. Like
Right.
what a pathetic existence. So yeah, no, it's people that are like, well, RFK is running. He knows what's going to happen. He probably does. You think he's stupid? Of course he knows what it is. And the man has balls of tungsten because he's doing it anyway. And I give him all the goddamn credit in the world.
I
I
totally
my
agree.
2 cents.
No, hey, listen, that's how I feel. And it's really, I think it's important also that obviously he's a Kennedy, so he's Democrat
Yeah,
leaning. Uh because I think we need to come together in that sense. I think we have to stand together, Democrat, Republican, no matter who we are. We're really fighting the same enemy.
hmm,
And that is something that I think is really interesting about this, because it's RFK Jr.,
yeah,
and here he is saying what needs to be said. And, it's incredible. Like, I've gone on these talk shows, and again, appreciate you having me back on. We
yeah.
had a great time the first time. Most, I'm going to say all of the shows I've been on have been more uh, right of center, if you will. And I thought that was interesting a little bit, because Kennedy was a Democrat.
Yeah,
Kennedy was a liberal,
yeah,
and that's what pretty much got him killed. I mean, there were other circumstances there, but that's what I think is so important about this, is that we got it. It's this. I think I may have said it last time I was on. The people who pull the strings, it's never the president. It's always above that.
yeah,
But the people who really pull the strings, they want us to fight with each other.
yeah.
They want us to bicker over stupid things. And then in the end, they just keep getting wealthier, and there's more wars, and they don't care. They don't care, Republican, Democrat. They really don't.
No.
But their agenda, that's the key. That's the thing that they will not allow to be messed with. So for RFK to be doing this, I mean, and listen, I will say this. One of the things I learned writing the book was I had spoken to a couple of gentlemen who did some research, and it tied into the fact that, well, what did RFK do when his brother was killed? And there was that talk of, he immediately suspected it was the CIA. That was his first instinct. It's like RFK is saying is true. RFK Jr. is saying is true. His father immediately thought it was the CIA. He called the CIA. He's like, "Did you guys do this?" Then he met with the director of the CIA, and he was like, "You guys did this, didn't you?" Because he knew he was in that inner circle. He was the attorney general. He understood what was happening starting in 1961 with the Bay of Pigs, and he understood everything going up through 63. So he had a really good understanding of who might have killed his brother. And so that's why with RFK coming out with this now, it's like, yeah, this is what needs to come out. Puts more pressure on the CIA.
Yeah, that is kind of hardcore that RFK Senior did kind of because right, he wasn't just some dude. It's not like he was just like the little brother. Was he older or younger brother?
Younger.
Yeah, so it's not like he's just the little brother that's like, hey, who popped my like no, he was the attorney general. Like he was in the inner circle, right? I mean, he was in the office when they were like talking with Curtis LeMay and Angleton about, Bay of Pigs. Like this guy wasn't just some sideline figure. Like
No.
he was like he was on the varsity team. And
Yeah.
like he immediately, yeah, and that's not like a small thing to acknowledge. The fact that he was like, you guys did this. Like
Right.
that's so
Yeah.
insane that he was just like, you fucking killed my brother. Like not even like you killed that was my brother. You guys fucking did this, and they're like, we didn't. Like that's so insane that like he made that accusation, and then he gets whacked. Like,
And then he gets, yeah.
and it's it's easy to look back, and it's been 60 years, and all the photos are in black and white, and you're like, oh, that's back then, and it's like, it's really not. It's really not. I mean, my parents were alive when that happened. Like it's not that long ago. And to
Right.
think that any of those tactics have changed is like the height of absurdity. That they
It
haven't
is.
changed. It's almost I would imagine it's probably close to like impossible to pull that off now. And they'll still try to. I don't know how they'll do it though. I don't think you can pull off like a Dealey Plaza or a Sirhan. I don't think you can pull that off in 2023. I think that's probably next to impossible. I mean, they'll do it in another way, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to kill him. You'll just find a reason for. It'll be the oh he raped me. It'll just be that shit. You're gonna have that
It's
8,000 accusers come out in the next 6 months.
right. Or they can put child porn on his
Yeah.
computer, whatever. That's what
Oh
they do
yeah.
now
Just
because
zap
there's,
it from space. Get you right on the laptop. Hey, what's that?
right. Yeah,
You
it's
have
the
no way to.
technology. I've thought of that, man. That's a good point you just made because I don't think they could get away
They
with
can't.
something like there's too much technology now.
Yeah, no, I don't think you could kill someone out in the open like that. But I mean, I always think about that. I mean, they just zap your phone and put some, some lewd pics of a 10-year-old. I barely know how to log into my iMac. Like, what defense would I actually have against that if that happened to me? I'd be like, it's not mine. I mean, like, I don't, you know,
Yep. And
and
it's
they,
very effective because 50%, no matter what happens from that point on, you've already lost 50% of your viewers. 50% of people are not going to believe you anymore.
yeah,
So, because it's such an appalling thing. So, all they
yeah,
have to do, and it's the easiest thing to do, it's horrifying, really,
yeah. I
the
mean,
fact that they can do that.
it is kind of weird though. I was hoping that he and Trump would team up because that would be such like a wild, just wrench to see thrown into the system. I mean, would it succeed? I don't know, but I guess Kennedy tweeted that he's not running with Trump, but I thought that would be such like a crazy like flaming unicycle to just throw into the race and see what happens. What do you think about that?
A flaming
A flaming,
unicycle.
yeah, I'm just imagining like just like the juggling chainsaws on fire, like because they wouldn't let them win, and they would be forced to do some sort of three-ring circus, right? Because they couldn't kill them, so it would be some. They tried the mail-in ballots again. They'd be like, oh, there's a new variant of whatever like it would be so obvious that I think people would almost no one would doubt that it was like stolen or something. It would be something like that.
Well, again, the idea that a Republican and a Democrat would run together.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
And not only any Democrat, you're talking about the Kennedy family here, man. They are when you think about a Democratic family, in the last 100 years. I mean, it's the Kennedys, and they're the equivalent of the Bush family on the other side.
Yeah.
So, this dynasty of whatever public servants. But listen, what I say is, and that's what's different about RFK though. He's inside. Obviously, he was a kid. Obviously it's not like he was 30 years old when this happened.
Yeah.
So, he's looking at it from what he remembers when he was young, what his father said, and what his mother probably told him over time. And, but the fact that he again was an insider, his father, I mean, his father was an insider, and his obviously his his uncle was the man who was killed. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And he's coming at it from, he has cred on this. He's definitely got street cred. And that's something that most other people don't have. So, but I got to tell you, it's the timing of it has been amazing. It's, obviously it's benefited me because people are like, hey, can you talk about the CIA and their role? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd love to, because he's right. He's right. I was saying that in the book. It's like, and all these chapters, all these people I'm interviewing, everyone, it all goes back to Alan Dulles. It all goes back to Curtis LeMay. It all goes back to, these Cold Warriors and their modus operandi, the way they did things back then. And it's all, and then it ties into, because they ask about Oswald, and it's like, well, he was a CIA operative. He was sheep dipped. They made him the patsy. It's just all CIA. It's the way they did business back then. They still, to an extent, do that today. But back then, this was the CIA playbook through and through. And that's now I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I don't know. He could, the CIA doesn't have to do anything. The CIA just keep denying it. And what's going to happen? Nothing.
No, yeah.
So,
Time's
yeah.
just gonna roll on, and you think people are disinterested 60 years removed? Wait till it's 100. I mean, what was 100 years ago? 4 years after World War One. That shit's done. That is it's cut print. It's the book is done. It is in the it is on the bookshelf of history. It's like, yeah, dude, that's over, right? No one
All right.
cares anymore. Dude, what all has RFK Jr. said specifically? I know he's called out, my uncle and my father, but what has he said? I would imagine you're probably more versed on that.
Well, he said there were three. So when John was killed, Bobby immediately called the CIA desk office or whatever you want to call it and talked to someone he knew. He's like, did you guys do, literally he asked them, did you guys do this? Was it you guys? Like, he was, you imagine how Bobby felt. Like,
Yeah.
there must have been such a vulnerability,
Yeah.
because there's like, oh my God, they got him. And truthfully, there were a lot of people. You would think that Bobby had at least as many people that wanted him dead as JFK, because Bobby was the one who was directly going after all the mobsters.
Hmm.
So Bobby was probably like, oh my, you can only, I know Jackie feared for her life. I mean, I think
Yeah.
all the Kennedys were like, well, they're going to kill all of us. They're
Yeah.
going to kill all of us, because again, they understood the intelligence operations. They understood what these people were capable of. And it was quite scary, and they knew what they were up against. So, yeah. So, and then I can't remember the second person, but then there were three people he contacted, two of whom were the CIA. And just, again, trying to find out who did it. Did you guys do this? Did you? And of course, they weren't going to admit that they did it. But
Yeah.
I think Bobby, he was quiet for a while. And then he announced, obviously, his presidency for 68. So it was maybe thinking enough time had gone by, but it was the same people in power. It's the same. It's that apparatus,
Hmm.
those blue blood elites. I keep talking about this, and people need to understand that it's these guys, these men who have controlled things for 200 years. You say, go back in history. These are the robber barons. These are the same families. These are the people that literally control everything. And so they offed him. They got
Yeah.
him, and it's sad. It really is sad when you think about it. They killed two brothers like that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so he's just, I think RFK is Junior is very much about telling it like it is. And and he doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's not on a particular platform. It's not a Democratic or a Republican platform. A lot of things he talks about are a Democratic platform. Some of the things he's talking about are on the Republican platform, and these talking points. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care about that. And I think we need more of that. That's what I'm excited about. But like we just said, we'll see what happens. I think I told my wife the other day, he's not going to win the nomination for the Democratic Party. and they'll make him, the mainstream media will make him look awful.
Oh, they're gonna release the hounds. But yeah, you almost gotta wonder if that will at least kind of bring some awareness to just how fucked it all is. Like RFK is gonna come out and it's almost predictable, right? You can say like 3, 2, 1, here come the rape accusations, here come the fraudulent business dealings. Like the fact that we all know what's coming sheds a little light on just how corrupt it is. So it's not all's not lost by running and them just slandering you and attacking you, right? Because that kind of does shed a little light on just how disgusting the system is, right?
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think also just the fact that he came out and said it has already led to other things. I mean, dude, I was on Fox News the other night. It just came out of nowhere, but it happened because of him,
Oh,
because he said what he said. So now they're like, well, we need to find other people who have written about this or research this or talk to people who know about this. And I'm not like I don't consider myself the ultimate scholar on Kennedy's presidency, but I do know a lot about the assassination, and I've done my research and I've interviewed some very interesting people. So, and that have done a lot of work in this. And from everything in my book, all the people I talked to led back to the CIA was involved. Now, did they subcontract? Of course, they always subcontracted. They subcontracted the mob because they hired hitmen they hired the best in the world to do the things that they were. So CIA worked hand in hand with the mob in those days. 50s, 60s, they hired those guys to whack people, literally. So yeah, of course. And the mob was happy to oblige because they hated the Kennedys because of what happened, Bobby coming after them. So you had that. And they also, there could have been, they talked about the actual assassins themselves. Were they part of the Corsican mob, the French mob, really the best hitmen in the world? Well, they subcontracted all this stuff because they were doing it. They had done it. They were doing it in Africa. They were doing it in Central America. They were doing it in South America. I mean, they were overthrowing, governments. They were rigging elections. They were assassinating democratically elected leaders. This is what they did. So, but basically what they did, they took something that was external and they internalized it. And they said, well, let's just focus inward and we're going to take out Castro this way. Let's just take out Kennedy this way. And if we control the media, we're golden. There were certain things they had to control, and they already controlled the media because Operation Mockingbird that had been in place. They had all the mainstream media, even back then, the Walter Cronkites, the Dan Rathers, they were all just shills. I mean, they just, oh yeah, well, the Warren Commission said, and that's it.
and then that's it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, there's no alternative researching when it's just
No,
when you
nothing.
get 30 minutes of black and white news in the evening and then that's it. Like what, you
That's
can't
it.
get to the internet? Oh, you fucking idiot. There's nothing. There's nothing. Right?
Right. And Walter Cronkite was probably the most trusted.
Yeah.
People felt comfortable with Walter Cronkite. He was like a father figure.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? You and your friends are going to school the next day and like talking? Like what, there's no texting, there's no forum. And like, even if you were talking, what do you got to go to the library and like find, oh, like the books haven't been written yet. What are you cross-referencing? It's not today where it's like you can look at different camera angles and, well, this tweet and this thing. No, it's just like you get a little tube, it goes, the president's been shot, and you go, oh fuck, God save America, and then it's like that's it, right? And then
Right.
you probably don't want to question it too much because you probably come across as like an ungrateful, unpatriotic commie. Your dad's probably like, shut your fucking mouth. At this
Right.
table, we
Right.
believe the Warren Commission because your dad probably served in World War II, right? So your dad's
Right.
looking at you like, I'll reach across this table and knock your teeth out right now.
Right.
So you just go, LBJ is the king now.
Right.
And
They were all
I don't blame him.
they were all Cold Warriors too. I mean,
Yeah.
they had fought in World War II, that generation, and they,
Yeah.
they hated the Nazis, but then they hated the communists.
Yeah, no
They
kid
were,
of mine's gonna question who killed JFK.
yeah.
I just beat the shit out of him with a belt right there, and that was that.
But look what happened after that.
Yeah,
It was the surge of the counterculture movement.
yeah,
Young people were fed up, and I guarantee you that happen at a lot of dinner tables
Yeah.
where fathers are slapping their kids because the kids like, this is all nonsense.
Like, who killed who? Like, who did what? And it's just, yeah. And the dads probably all were like stormed D-Day, so they're just, and understandably so. They're like, we don't question Uncle Sam in this house, right?
Right.
They're all riding off the GI Bill, so they're looking at their sons and they're like, oh, you were red, like.
Red, right, exactly.
Probably a lot of backhands in kitchens over that night, right?
Yeah.
God. So yeah, I mean, you kind of feel. I mean, I kind of feel bad for him, right? I mean, you look back at it now, you're like, how would you question it? You couldn't. You just said
No.
shut up and you did your algebra homework, right?
Nope. Yep.
Yeah.
It was just a couple people, those early, they were citizen researchers.
Yeah.
They weren't journalists. Most of them weren't even journalists. They were citizens who said, you know what? And they started digging. Mark Lane is the perfect example.
Yeah.
And, so it's like those early researchers who questioned the Warren Commission. That took guts
Yeah.
because there were a lot of people dying mysteriously in and around that whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I mean, I wrote this book and I did it in a way where I interviewed other people. I basically documented what they told me, but I'm going on these shows and I'm telling it like it is from what I know. I wasn't there. I always tell people that, listen, I wasn't there. I wasn't behind the grassy knoll. I don't know who was there.
I
I wasn't on
was.
the 6th floor. I wasn't there. I wish I was, but I wasn't.
I was.
I wasn't in.
A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think
Yeah,
I'm
there gets
32. I was there.
or you have a time machine.
Yeah, I was there, dude.
Just go back. That would be the first place I go.
Yeah.
you know.
Probably go. They buttoned that conspiracy up so good that you'd have a time machine that zap you onto the roof of the school book depository, and you'd get out, and there'd be Angleton would be standing there, and he'd be like, "How you doing, son?" You'd be like, "Holy shit, you guys are good. You guys are good." Like, yeah, we had our Nazi scientists looking at time travel. We knew there. Where are you from? 2023? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck. They just, how would you like a job?
That's
But that's what they do. And I'd be like, you know what, man, y'all are the best ever. Give me a trench coat. I'm in the CIA now. I'd come back here and
yeah.
be like, hey, Roth, shut your mouth.
Yeah. You can't beat them, join them, right? Like
Yeah,
at that
I'd come
point,
back to
it's
you
like
and you'd be like, who did it? And I'd be like, listen, man, you and I need to have a talk. Can you meet me at this bridge? Can you meet me at this bridge tonight? Don't bring a phone. Don't bring a phone. They've got this shit buttoned up, man.
we got those Nazi scientists to work on
Oh
time
yeah,
travel. That's
no.
classic.
Yeah, it's
Because they
Angleton and
they
Werner von
brought
Braun.
all those guys over.
They
They were
did. They're
responsible for bringing them all over.
probably get there and Angleton's just ashing a cigar. And he's like, you got Moxie, kid. And I'm like, oh shit. And he's like, Carrigan it is? And I'm like, oh fuck. And he's like, yeah, there's two ways we can do this.
Yep,
Yeah, you can join or
exactly right.
we'll throw you right down in that Cadillac.
They are a powerful, insidious group,
Yeah.
and that's why it. I mean, we talk about, we like to. I think we do because we get people thinking, right? We want people
Yeah.
to be critical thinkers, but man, these guys do have it so buttoned up.
Yeah. I mean,
and you know what I mean. You're right. I mean, and that's, you have to ask yourself, well, what can we possibly hope to achieve? Sometimes it's sad
yeah.
but sometimes you do think that.
And that itself is by design. Sorry, this boom's messing up. That in itself is by design, right? That total demoralization. There's nothing.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? There's nothing you can. There probably is some truth to, like, yeah, what am I gonna do? But yeah, I don't. They almost let you. They let you kind of drown in the fog, right? They don't come out and say,
Yeah.
you're wrong or that's wrong or we didn't do it. They just let you scream into the wind. And even if you're correct, the fact that no authority comes out and squashes you makes you just look a little crazy, right? So I could sit here and do 1,200 episodes about Kennedy. And even if I got it dead on, like a supercomputer ticked it up and they're like, hey, this guy 60 years later completely figured out the plot, they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't come and get me because that would prove it's true, right?
Right.
So they just let you kind of stand there, just kind of flailing in the wind, just screaming at nothing. They look at this guy and they're like, yeah, this guy's still obsessed with the Kennedy thing 60 years later. Anyway, and right, that's the deck is stacked for them. It's to kind of do
Yeah.
a wild jump. Who do you think? How do you think it actually went down? Like, obviously, we'll never have the receipts or the fingerprints or the affidavits, but I mean, just like just bullshit. And like, how do you think it went down? Like, couple gun teams. How do you think it went down? Just in your educated guess opinion. Obviously, there's no way we can back any of this up, but just gut
Yeah.
gut feeling, like gun to your head. What do you think happened?
Okay. If I had to make an educated guess,
Yeah.
I think that there was talk. I hate Donald Sutherland's character in JFK.
Hmm.
I think that summed it up perfectly,
Yeah.
Mr. X.
Yeah.
Like, and because it really did go down. I think like that, where there was this, it was in the wind, right?
Yeah.
Someone said something,
Yeah.
and
Fucking
it
cool.
was a combination of, first of all, Alan Dulles, who Kennedy had fired, right? So he's like this Cold Warrior sacred cow that
Yeah.
is now fired,
Yeah.
and so, but he still had a lot of power. So he's talking to people, and they know very powerful people. And maybe it's Clint Murchison with, or some of these Texas oil guys who are like, Kennedy's got to go. Like, they're all bitching and moaning that Kennedy's got to go for different reasons. And then it's just, again, these people that I use the name Rockefeller because they're so high up. If
Hmm.
anyone's pulling strings, and if people say, well, it's Dulles and, LeMay, or, yeah, but even they have bosses. So who are there?
Yeah.
That's the real shadow government.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it, the Rockefellers that like to control everything, and hated the Kennedys. So a lot of people dislike the Kennedys. So it starts there, right? And then it's like, okay, so who's going to put this plan in place? CIA is perfect for it. They
Hmm.
already have everything in place. They've trained people for this. And it's like, well, let's take that plan we had to do this in Guatemala
Yeah.
and in Africa and in Cuba, and now let's internalize it here to get rid of Kennedy. And
Hmm.
all of these little modus operandi, right? So, okay, we got to have a patsy in each city. We have to, so that's, it's a few people planning the, hiring who's going to be where, and it's need to know. So no one knows everything, right? So it's like, you're to be here then, you're going to be here then. And they also had people there in Dealey Plaza that day that did nothing, and they were told to be in Dealey Plaza. There was a story about how there were certain assassins in Dealey Plaza that day who didn't know why they were there, but they noticed other assassins in Dealey Plaza that day, and they were just
Oh
told to be there, and they got paid
shit.
to be there. They didn't do any shooting, but there's a couple reasons for that. A, muddy the waters, and B, people, you were there, so like,
Shut
it's
your
almost
fucking
like we
mouth.
have. Right, right, right.
Yeah.
It's almost like, listen, this is how much power we have. So that was a statement. And I think that they had probably 3 teams of 2 or 3 people with a main shooter, a spotter, radio guy. I don't know how that works, but like something to that effect.
Yeah.
Uh, Grassy knoll, sixth floor depository, which again, Oswald was not there at the time. And then maybe on the other side,
Oh,
uh, yeah, the
the
like where the
overpass.
freeway or the overpass. I mean, it could have been anywhere, but I would think, or actually, because I was there recently, so you have that other federal building where at the time there were prisoners in there, and they were yelling and screaming. They're like, whatever, and all the windows were open. And there's some interesting photos of what they think is a gun coming out of one of the windows, or possibly a gun. But if you were to triangulate something, it would have been here, here, and here. So it was triangulated. And this was all military,
Yeah.
professional, top, highest level. And then again, the other things that needed to be in place: Operation Mockingbird, control the media. They had to control the body. And that's where you get a lot of people, because that was not easy to do. They were going to do the autopsy because Dallas had jurisdiction. But these guys came in military uniforms and were like, we're taking the body. And they threatened to shoot people. Like,
Yeah.
they were like, we're taking the body, because they had to take the body,
Yeah.
because the doctors at Parkland already said, listen, this was an entrance wound.
Yeah.
And they all pointed, they all pointed here. They're like, this is where it had this, the shot came, boom.
Yeah.
So that's from the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
It's not from the Texas School Book Depository. So they know they had to get to the body. They had to doctor things. So by the time anyone really got to it, by the time it got to Bethesda, it wasn't the same. They had already done some things to the body, but it was all very well planned out. And I think that, it was a group of very powerful people who
Remotely.
subcontracted and needed on a need to know basis and departmentalize the whole thing. I know there were people that I was like, all I know, I was supposed to be there on an airfield in Fort Worth, waiting to take 3 people to Canada.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
Yeah.
Once they get to Canada, there's a plane there waiting to take them back to France. I'm just saying it could be the
Yeah.
shooters. It could be
Yeah.
anyone,
Just
just
total,
get,
total
yeah.
fog.
But they trained and they knew how to do this stuff because they did it all over the world. They were incredibly good at it. So all they had to do was to say, okay, let's find the right spot. And they planned different options. So they had Chicago, Tampa, Dallas. In Chicago, what happens? This informant named Lee calls the Secret Service and says there's going to be a plot, Cuban exiles. They're going to try to kill Kennedy. He warns them. Lee warns them. Kennedy doesn't go to Chicago. It doesn't happen in Tampa for whatever reason. They had a patsy set up in each place. Where does it go down? Where is it all? Where does it happen? Dallas. Everything goes according to plan. Boom. Oswald. And things didn't go quite right because Oswald probably never should have left the Texas School Book Depository alive, or the fact that he got to the theater and he called his handler and said, his handler's like, meet me at the theater. Well, that was all big setup because there were 50 police officers showed up. So it's like, and he wasn't even, they weren't even, they say they said, well, he killed Officer Tippit. They didn't even, it had nothing to do with Kennedy at that point. So they knew it was Oswald. They had to get Oswald, and then they had to shut up Oswald. Ruby probably wasn't supposed to happen, but they had to get that. That was a last minute Ruby go in there, or he owed to the mob. He was in debt. He was a mobster, but it was like either you do this, or your family, that kind of thing with the mob. So Ruby does what he has to do, and that's it. That's it. Once Oswald's dead and he can't testify in court, and then Lyndon Johnson, here he is. Oh, we're going to do a warrant. We're going to do the commission. Earl Warren, actually was a good man. He was an honorable guy. But here's the Warren Commission. And he's going to head it, but the main guy that responsible is Allen Dulles. They put Allen Dulles on the Warren Commission. It's again, you can't make that up.
No. Not only was it the perfect conspiracy, and not only did they control the media, if those two didn't work, they were the ones doing the investigation.
Right. They controlled the investigation.
It was so airtight. There is something, and like, I think it goes without saying, like, they're demons from hell, but there is something, if you can just detach yourself from it, there is something so fascinating about how it was just the perfect assassination. How 60 years later, people are still like, we think this is maybe how it happened. Like, they really pulled out all of the stops. Like, yeah, assassins there just giving bogus orders, just like, so they don't even know. So it's like, if someone asks them, they're like, yeah, I was told to, sit in the back seat of a taxi or some shit, like, across town. And now they're like, I don't even know what that was. Who contracted me, right? And it's, I mean, and then, if there were teams of shooters, we don't know who they were. Yeah, they get on a plane. We're taking you home. Oh, that Cessna went down in the middle of the Atlantic, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we don't
Right.
even know who to be looking for, right?
Right.
Probably
Right.
some
If an
CIA
assassin was assassinated in Corsica 2 weeks later,
what do you know?
you'd
Yeah.
never find the
The
body.
guy never existed anyway.
Like, who knows this?
Right?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Exactly.
You
Right,
just
he
use
didn't
another
exist.
CIA plot to take him out, right? And it's like, because we were doing that shit all over the world. You have this guy, and
All
then you
over.
you tell some other guy, hey, that guy's a commie. We think he killed Kennedy. Shoot him. And then you shoot him. I mean, there is something almost beautiful in like a movie sense
Mhm.
of just like the Swiss watch mechanism of
Yep.
everything that went down that day. Nothing was left for chance. And
No.
it's evil, but you can't help but be impressed by it.
Yeah, if you remove yourself from that and and the insidiousness of it,
Yeah.
and you're left there, I was horrified most of the time I was writing this book because I realized just what kind of people we're dealing with. Like it is horrifying. And here's what's you talk about Swiss knife precision. These guys took a lot out of the Nazi playbook. And this is what people don't like. They have to understand the sequence of events starting with the World War II, towards the end of World War II, and what was happening. They had already knew they were going to defeat the Nazis, but the Nazis had a lot of sympathizers in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
including a lot of these very wealthy American blue blood families who were anti-Semitic to begin with. I mean, you're talking about like, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, Harvard, Yale educated. You can't get more waspy than these people were, and they hated everyone. And these are the people that hated the Irish. That's why they hated the Kennedys, because they were English Scotch and they didn't like the Irish. I mean, my God, right? And so
Home
this is what
team.
they were. So this is what they were like, though, and they were raised to have that elitist attitude. That's the attitude they were raised with to have. And this started before World War II ended. And what they did, they took all these Nazis. They not only Werner von Braun. I know everyone knows about him.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket scientist. He helped us beat the Russians getting to the moon. Okay, fine. But there were thousands of other
Yeah, yeah.
scientists, Nazi scientists, who, guess what, were working on what became MK Ultra,
Oh yeah.
mind control. They
Yeah.
were doing that in the concentration camps.
Yeah,
They
Dachau.
were doing that all over Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these,
MK, the K is a nod to the Nazis. It's control spelled with a K.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't even hide it. It's like,
Give a
yeah, with
shit. They're
just, tens of
Nazis.
thousands, they helped get to Argentina, Bolivia, Chile. And they got, I mean, there was this show on, I watched it. You would love this show. It was called Hunting Hitler. It's on the History Channel. It's on Hulu now. I highly recommend people watch it because of what it suggests. Not so they're saying that Hitler did not die in the bunker. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But even getting past that, what they found, it was like 3 seasons. And what they found is this network that the Nazis had set up, this underground network all across Europe, Scandinavia, down to the Vatican, leading to South America. Literally, they were on their way to starting a Fourth Reich in Argentina. And I don't know how they didn't do it. That's how well planned out it was. I mean, I think maybe some of the guys just got too old, but
They're probably
they,
like, why do it in Argentina? We've got a good one going in America.
but the thing is, in Argentina, you had, it was Perón was fascist, and
Yeah.
they loved the Nazis. So the Nazis had been
Yeah.
going to Argentina throughout the war. They would go there, and they were planning all this. So think about these intricate underground systems that they had set up for escape and secret meetings and all this, and these people they had in place, plus their mind control. No one was better at that. No one was better at propaganda. They just had, and we just took the playbook. We can't, these guys kind of like the Nazis anyway.
Yeah.
and there you go. There's the modern CIA and and these intelligence agencies and the way they do things. And Kennedy didn't stand a chance,
No.
like, and
You wonder if he knew he didn't stand a chance, though. I don't know. When you start to read, and you always have to be careful of like, are we projecting our own romantic like heroism traits onto him, right? And everything's always easier in hindsight. And well, of course, this was happening, but you read some of his speeches, man. There's almost like maybe I just sense it, and maybe I'm projecting myself on, but you almost feel like he's starting to like lose it. I don't mean in like a crazy sense. I mean like he's dropping the facade. It's early on, it's like we will work, and towards the end, it's like secrecy is evil. Like, are we not all men? Are we not all like creations of God? Like, do we not need? Are we really? Do we really need these evil black ops going through the nut? He kind of, it kind of sounds like he's like on the third drink, right? And
Yeah. Oh, he was
he's kind
begging
of
them
like,
to, right.
yeah. By the end of it, he's like, you want, you know what? By the end of it, he's just like, do it, just fucking do it. Yeah, he's just flipping the fucking desk in the Oval Office. He's like, do it, right? And like, and you would never see it, right? Because there's, it's not like he's going on TV and saying it, but you wonder if towards the end of it, he was just like by himself, just brooding in the Oval Office and was like, I know there, maybe he went into Dallas and he like knowing, he's like, I know it's happening in the next month or so. You almost wonder if he was just like, how am I going down? Am I going down as a legend, or am I gonna like wimp out?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Yeah, because a lot of his later speeches, he just comes
He
out.
starts to, he's the third drink in. He's not
Yeah, he
clipping it.
is.
He's just
No,
like,
he's
yeah.
not. And
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 another thing, right?
yeah,
I'm not done
exactly.
with you. Give me back the mic. I'm not fucking. You can almost imagine him, the ties loosened. Like, shut up, honey. This is a long time coming. And Dulles, I got something for you and your brother, you cocksucker, right? Red in the face, just smoking the cigar. And I'm not done yet, right?
It's hilarious.
But you can almost,
I'm
but you can
dying
kind of
here,
feel,
but it's
yeah,
so true. Like it's
yeah,
like he was just. But what it did show is that he changed as a person.
yeah.
He
It
did, and he realized that without peace, we couldn't go on with this cold warrior,
was the end of the world.
hawkish. Let's just bomb the hell out of everyone. Right? He knew that that millions of people could die in 5 minutes, and
Yeah,
he learned that Cuban Missile Crisis
yeah.
scared the hell out of him, scared the hell out of Khrushchev too. And that's why they started to talk behind the scenes, right? Like, hey, we need a detente here. But I was told, a couple of people told me, and I don't know if they how they got their information. And a lot of people say, well, we talked to the guy who was Kennedy's Secret Service, blah, 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 or whatever. You hear things. But there was talk in the White House of, do you think they would kill me? But Kenny was like, nah, they don't have the gall to do that. And I think he knew that they might want to kill him.
Sure.
And he probably had a good idea that they really wanted to strangle him. But he probably didn't think, I think in the end, he's like, no, they
They wouldn't
could,
actually do it.
they're in here and like,
The
gonna blow my brains out
yeah. Yeah.
and
There
yeah,
probably is that idea of, right, like a CEO probably knows like the lower peons want to kill him, but it's like you don't have the nuts. There's some short story we had to read at like middle school, and it's like some general putting down like a guerrilla resistance in South America. It's a fictional story, but he goes into the town to get like a shave, and he knows the barber is a member of the guerrilla army, and he goes in and he knows that he's a guerrilla member, and he knows that the guerrilla he knows. And he goes in there and stares him in the eye, and he's like, I'd like a shave. So it's just right there with the knife to his neck the whole time. And he stands up at the end and like shakes the guy's hand. He's like, I knew you were a man of honor or something. Basically, like you would save the fight for the actual streets. But it was also this sort of like, he just looked you in the eye and was like, do it, bitch. And he never did. You almost wonder if Kennedy underestimated just how psychopathic they were. Like, they
yep,
won't do it, especially during the cold. You're not going to shoot me a year after the Cuban Missile Crisis.
right.
And like, hey man, egg on his face. Like, they were, you know, they didn't care. They would rather probably have nuclear war than lose grip of the throne.
He underestimated the level of their psychosis in a couple of ways. The narcissism, the idea that the elitism, that they were meant to rule and
Yeah,
control. Kennedy was disposable,
yeah,
right? Same with his brother, obviously Oswald. Oswald was a CIA asset. He was a CIA spy, but he was lower level and he was disposable. And that was the bottom line, and that's the way they looked at everyone and everything.
yeah,
Think about how the Nazis viewed just about everyone.
Yeah.
Because what would have happened is if the Nazis, once they completely annihilated all the Jewish people off the face of the earth, all the gypsies, all the, people who had mental disabilities, who were they coming after next?
Yeah, they weren't going to stop.
They're not going to stop. At some point, they needed women. They needed women to procreate because it was the 1,000-year Reich. And actually, they encouraged that. But it was like, yeah, all Aryan women need to have children, have as many as you can. It's so insidious and evil, yet it persists.
Mm.
And that's why it still matters. That's why when we say, 60 years later, these younger generations could care less, at least some of them. There are some people teaching this in college courses, which I think is great, but not enough. And I think that they're also not teaching critical thinking skills. And that's on purpose, because if you can't think critically, we're done.
Yeah.
At a certain point, we're done as a society. We're just done.
Yeah.
So, but it matters still, because people don't realize. There was an article that just came out, and it was very similar to what I talked about the Nazis, that there's this underwriting. There is fascism. Fascism didn't die after World War II. Nazis didn't die after World War II. Like, they were alive and well, believe it or not, in South America and some other places. And it was incredible. But that idea of let's kill everyone else because we don't like them, and as long as it's not us.
Yeah.
And at some point, they're going to get to you. And that's what people need to realize. You can't think that way. Yeah, we have problems in this world. A lot of people don't like immigration. A lot of people don't like it. And there's problems with that. I get that totally. But, that it's this attitude of pure elitism, where it's like, if you're not one of us,
Yeah.
you're one of them. And if you're one of them, you are disposable.
The machine will turn on you.
The machine will turn on you. The machine will eat you alive and spit you out. And it just bothers me when I see footage of Alan Dulles and these guys. And it's just like, there's like these grumpy, disgusting old men.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you disgusting animals, you. Yeah. It's just, I mean,
then you think of like not Dulles, excuse me, Angleton.
Oh my God.
Like towards the end of World War II, I think. And he goes into some theater, I think in Italy or Germany. I forget where. It's in the book The Ghost by Jefferson Morley. But Angleton goes in there, and there's some SS officer who's like fleeing from the OSS. And Angleton goes in there, and like the cops go in there, and they're like, "Are you whatever, Hans?" And he's like, "No, I'm Billy." And they're like, "Come with us, Hans." Kind of like, and they pull him out onto the street, and then they bring him to like Angleton's office, and Angleton's basically like, "So you can go hang, or you're gonna work with us." And he's like, so something along the lines of like you'll never be able to get like your people work for me. Like my past is so bloody, basically. And Angleton waves his hands and he goes, "We are the masters of the universe." And I think in that statement you can see the mindset of we are the right. And to an extent, there's it's probably validated, right? You just won World War II. You're probably like,
Yeah,
you're a little, you have a little
hubris. Yeah,
you probably feel your ball is probably feeling a couple sizes too big. You're probably like, yeah, we are. Fuck, are you? We just nuked Japan. Oh, you don't even know what a nuke is, do you? Yeah, no. We just flipped a switch and said bye bye. In Japan, you're probably feeling like you're 7 feet tall, but imagine that mindset, and then imagine again back to the whole, the dad slapping the kid. And I think this is what you and I talked about last time is a lot of them probably are in that World War II mindset where they're just like, yeah, anything goes to win. Because if you don't win, this is what happens. They're probably looking at like, if you pussyfoot around it, you're just looking at these just mountains of bodies in Europe and in the Pacific. And just like, hey, yeah, we'll shoot the president. Fuck do we care? They probably thought they were doing the right thing. They not only did they do it and had to justify it, I think if you sat them down, they'd look at you and they'd be like, "You're welcome."
Right.
It'd be like Jack Nicholson
for saving
Good Men. It'd be like, I'd rather you thank me and go away than like question how I provide your freedom. I think that's how deep the psychosis is.
That is a perfect example
They would
because
look at
that
you and they'd
was
be
the
like,
attitude.
I'd rather, Tommy, Jack, I'd rather you guys thank me for the democracy that you go to bed under than question the manner in which I provide it, right? You just see Dulles slamming his like that. Like, yeah, we killed him. You're goddamn right we did.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
They thought they were being patriots because they thought Kennedy was a threat to democracy because he was didn't want all out war with communism and with the communists, and he was working with Khrushchev, and he'd done these things, and he wasn't being a good Cold Warrior, and they just couldn't have that. I
Would
mean, it's
you
just it,
would you would you ever want to peek behind the curtain if we could just like I don't know, have like a magical iMac and we just pull back a curtain and we could just peer into a universe where Kennedy wasn't killed?
mm, yeah,
Would you want to look in that? Because what if it was awful? What
yeah, it
if it
would.
was god awful? Maybe it's
I
great. We're on like Mars by now, probably have, like cities on Neptune or something.
I think for sure we'd definitely be way ahead in space at this point. And I
But what if it is just an
mm,
irradiated ember?
yeah,
What are you doing then, man? Are you
because
writing a sequel to your book?
because one thing changes another, right?
Yeah.
And you just don't know the sequence of events. So you know one event, and then there's been a domino effect from that event from him dying.
Yeah.
So what would have been the domino effect of him not dying?
What if
Well,
it
it
was
probably would have.
identical?
Ugh.
That's a that's a
I,
scary outcome.
this idea of perpetual war and conflict is something I think these guys solidified when they killed Kennedy.
Yeah.
Because he was our best hope
Yeah.
for last hope for that kind of peace. And wait. But there's too much money to be made in war.
Yeah.
And
No,
war
I'm with you.
profiteers and human nature. They're just these, you have to take a Bell Helicopter, General Dynamics, dozens of other companies. They all made billions of dollars on the Vietnam War, and they were waiting to make billions of dollars on the Vietnam War. And people like Dulles, they all benefited from it. All benefited from
Yeah. And then think of how much bigger the military industrial complex is now.
it. Oof.
It's even bigger and more entrenched. It's more advanced. It's more global reaching. And there is something, I mean, think of just how fucking wild it was for Kennedy to like he's probably looking at these guys and he's like, they're evil narcissists. They run the world. But you know what? It's almost like I have a bigger brother who's gonna beat you up. It's like this is my buddy Dwight Eisenhower, 5-star. He wrangled all y'all. And then as he's leaving, he goes, "Hey, by the way, they're in charge, and I have no idea how to stop it." From the Oval Office, and he goes, "Anyway," he's like, you're shitting bricks." You're going, "Oh no."
Yeah.
You see Eisenhower
Eisenhower
walking out.
basically said he did say that. He basically
Eisenhower
said
walked
it.
out of there and was like, "Yo, by the way, there's like a mafia.
Yeah.
There's a
I they
mafia that makes the mafia look like nothing."
yeah. They're completely out of control. And we have a serious problem and have a nice life. I mean, it's like, a lot of those guys couldn't wait to get out of office. That's brutal. And it's
Isn't that what Trump said when he was flying back to Mar-a-Lago, right? He goes and gives his concession. Not he never gives a concession, but like he doesn't go to the inauguration. I think his words were he goes, "Have a nice life," and just gets on the plane.
he
Because he
said,
probably
have a nice life.
I'm like 90% sure. Because right, he didn't go to the inauguration. He just gave some final speech on the runway and was like, it was stolen. And he goes, "Have a nice life." And then he just gets on the plane. Everyone was like,
Thinking he was to say more.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
he
Well,
talked for
yeah,
like a minute and then he goes, "Have a nice life," and just got on his private plane. Everyone's like, "Oh shit." Like,
when you think about these guys when they're elected and there's this big high, right? Like, oh, it's just elected. And they have all their campaign promises. And then they go into that meeting
yeah,
that's it's okay, the transfer of power meeting.
yeah,
I always talk about that because that was something I'll forget when I saw that with Obama. And man, that guy came out of that meeting looking 30 years older than when he went in. And was shaken to the core. And I couldn't believe what I was watching. I'm like, what the hell did they show him in there or tell him in there? I always think they show him the Zapruder film. They show all incoming presidents the Zapruder
yeah,
film.
yeah,
It's like that could be you too if you don't follow this strict agenda.
yeah.
You know, you
The
don't mess world banking. You don't mess with the big guys. You don't mess with the people who really have the power because you have no power whatsoever.
Or they watch like,
Not,
or there's like an updated version where it's like a video from the White House of them like, I don't know, watching a POV of the first plane hitting the North Tower or something. Like radio can, oh, like you just look at that and they're like, any questions? And you're like, Jesus Christ Almighty. Holy shit, right? They show you a video of Cheney watching TV and going 3, 2, 1, and then the first plane hits, and you're going, oh, oh no. Oh, oh no. And then they look at you and they go, all right, you want 8 years and then you leave with a permanent Secret Service detail? Or,
or
fuck, dude. I mean,
yeah.
we joke about it, but I always think like if I'm actually in that position, all right, I don't have kids. Okay, cool. They show me pictures of my parents. They show me like a live video feed of my parents. It's already done. There's nothing I can do. I'm
Right,
probably
right.
just going along. Honestly, man, I'd like to think I'd be some hero. The reality is they show me a picture of like my brothers, my
Right.
parents, and they're going, Tommy, there is no option where you win. You either just die and everyone you love dies, or you don't. Man, I'd probably just go, yeah, what are we doing, man?
Yeah. I mean, what
We're
else?
we're,
At that
we're
point, you
aiding
can't.
we're aiding Ukraine. I'm like, okay. Like what, and it almost makes you feel for him a little more. I don't know.
It's
Can you go into that the Obama thing for if people don't know what you're talking about? Because you brought that up in the last time we chatted.
Yeah, and this is just something I happen to see. So
Yeah.
he won. He beat Bush. Oh wait,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Well,
No,
no, wait.
no,
How'd that
he
work?
beat McCain.
He beat McCain. You know, and it was this new beginnings because everyone was tired of the Bushes at that point anyway. And so he gets in and it's campaigning and all these campaign platform. And he was a lot of energy. And I remember the day I just happened to be watching the news. It's like, oh, so you're about to go into the transition meeting. And like, that's just like 3, 4 hour meeting. He meets with the outgoing. So it was Bush and all his cronies, right? Dick Cheney, Rumps, all those guys, whoever was left at that point. And so he went in, and then I was watching the news later on, and he came out, and I swear to you, I'll never forget this. And I don't know what station it was at that time, what network, but it looked like he had gray hair where he didn't have gray hair. He looked ashen, and he was not the same man. And I'm like, what happened? And I'm like, and of course, you as a critical thinker, you're like, would they tell him in that meeting?
Yeah.
Something happened in the meeting. And then for 8 years, people complained because he didn't get anything done. And if you can find, I tell people, try to find that. I don't know where to find that. I don't, but I'll never forget that moment as long as I live because I knew they were telling him things like, you continue the wars. If you don't continue these wars, again, show there's a proof
Yeah.
film, that's like you either wind up like Kennedy or you have a nice little, you retire with a Secret Service detail and so a lot of money.
Yeah. If not,
And
here's a dossier of 4 different ways we're gonna kill your family. You get to choose which one. Do you want it to be a car bomb? You want it to be, we'll let you choose. You're like,
you can choose. No, but
fuck.
and here's the thing. So what it says, and it's said for a long time now, ever since Kennedy, I think really, is that again, we get so worked up about who's president, who's not president, who could be president, and it does not matter. And I say that as a straight down middle, not
Yeah.
liberal, not conservative. I'm saying that as a human being. It doesn't matter. I went on the show the other day and they were, kept going on about Trump and this and that. I said, listen, I'm going to say something that might make you angry, but I have to say it because this is something we need to get past if we're ever going to really get down to the real issue here. At this point, Trump's a distraction. He's a distraction from what we really need to be talking about because he learned, like all the other presidents learned, some of them knew. George Bush Sr. was in the CIA. So when he was elected, he knew what was
Yeah.
going on. He knew what to expect. But most guys that come in like that, whether it's a Trump or Obama or whoever, they learn very quickly that they have no power. And if they don't learn very quickly that they have no power, then no real power. That's what I mean by that. They can veto things. They can shut down national parks. They have veto power, whatever. But these are the issues that we fight about. Like, oh, we get so angry. But in the end, they're not the ones pulling the strings. They're not. And no guy, any person who says, I'm going to become president, I'm going to change things, really change things for the better, is either going to be dead or is totally lying. Or is not going to get anything done. And then people are, oh, why didn't that guy get done what he said he would get done? And we go back and forth with that. But the bottom line is that doesn't matter. The Obama, Trump, Biden, doesn't matter. What we have to do is focus on who are follow the money. Follow the money. What do they always say? Follow the money. Follow the money. Who are the people who stand the most to lose from things changing? Federal Reserve, bankers, big time, national bankers, big time bankers, right? Again, these blue blood elitist families, from the robber baron days, like the Rockefellers and these families that they Rockefellers control education. That was their big thing. They wanted to control education. So everyone thought, oh, the Rockefeller Foundation, they were so, they were wonderful. They gave so much. They were controlling all that. These people didn't play around. And that's what we need to understand. And I say it, and again, I don't want to I don't want anyone, be, oh, you don't like trying to, until we stop, we have to start with, let's even forget the presidents at this point. After Kennedy, we might as well have, I mean, once Kennedy was shot in the head, I don't even know if that office really mattered for much anymore ever. So. But to the people, because it's the president's giving his speech, his State of the Union, but that's what we see, what's really going on behind the scenes. And that scares the hell out of you, because behind the scenes is Curtis LeMay, Alan Dulles, Himmler, Goebbels. I mean, these guys, people who were just egomaniacal, power hungry, and they have the power behind it. You can't do anything about it. The technology, like you mentioned, is so advanced today that they can kill you 50 ways to Sunday and no one will even know what happened to you.
Yeah.
Heart attack.
Yeah.
Really? Because a guy went up to him before that and just came by him with this little instrument. Next thing you know, he's having a major heart attack. That's the kind of...
Yeah, there'd be a gas leak in my building, right? There would be... Yeah.
Yeah, but it is I don't want to end on a down note, I
don't think it's down. I think it's being realistic. Because if you try to avert anything but the truth, whatever outcome you reach is going to be tainted because it will not be based in truth. So I think we have to truthfully look at it and go, it's rotted through and through. Sit with that. And it is depressing, and it is a down note, but then it allows you to pivot and go, realistically, what can I do in my life? And it does come back to your immediate surroundings. You can be a better person. You can, and I know that sounds like some cheery fucking motivational poster bullshit. I understand that, but you can be a better person in your immediate surroundings. You can donate to your homeless shelter. You can be a better son. You can be a better brother. You can be a better friend. And you can make a difference in the people immediately around you. And, that it kind of sucks because you go, well, there's no office of the presidency and there hasn't been for 60 years. And it's just a totalitarian military industrial complex that I would imagine has probably been run by AI for the last decade. So we don't even know what it is. But it's you can still go, I don't know, volunteer at the local public school or something, do a big
just
program.
love the people are in your life, my mom always says stuff like that, it's just, whatever. But listen, you're doing this show, right? I wrote that book. People care. Yeah. People listen. People are buying the book. People are listening to the show, and they were they do care, and it's just a question of, okay, but the Nazis were never overthrown by any of these little resistances that happened during the, they weren't even overthrown when they were defeated. Okay. Cause they were in pretty good shape in
They were
Argentina,
hired.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
They weren't
exactly. They
overthrown. They
were
were
hired
smuggled
and
out of
paid
here.
very well.
They were
Yeah.
made the heads of NASA. It wasn't even kind of hired. It was like, you're going to be capped. There's pictures of LeMay, Kennedy, Von Braun,
Yeah.
all in fucking Ray-Bans, like smoking cigars. Like,
Yeah.
not
And
only are
it's
you going
all
to be
good.
you're going to be appointed to the highest echelons. And that's, that's kind of depressing. But it's also whether or not we want it to be depressing or not, whether we want to end on a bad note or not, it doesn't make it any less the truth. And that's kind of
Right.
where I come down on it. Is like we can go, let's not end on a bad note. And it's like there is no good or bad note. It's accuracy. It doesn't
Right.
care what you think. It
Right.
just is, right?
Right.
It just fucking is.
That's
It
exactly
is
right.
May 15th. It doesn't matter how much I pretend today is Christmas. It's just May 15th, man.
Right.
Make of that what you will,
Exactly right.
but I can't,
And that's
yeah.
yeah. No, and that's why it's so important that RFK Jr. It goes circles back to him.
Yeah.
The truth is the truth. This guy's talking from he's a really good source.
Yeah.
And he's just being honest. He's being honest. Listen, my dad, first people he called he was blaming the CIA. Why do you think he did that? That it just is what it is, right? The truth matters.
Yeah.
And it resonates. And he is resonating with that. That resonated with people because it was like, whoa,
Hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore.
Man, he wins. He gets inaugurated. He comes out and gives a speech that night about the validity of the Warren Commission. Everyone's like, oh, shit. He just comes out and he goes, this thing it's correct. Let's put this to bed. And you're like, oh, fuck. He got the talk. He got the
The
talk.
talk. Yeah.
He
He
got
has
the
a ton more
talk.
gray hair. He's ashen, right?
Comes
Yeah.
out and he's like, listen, Lee Harvey acted alone. We're all like, fuck.
That would be awful.
He's like,
Just so awful. That
Sirhan
would
was
be
a
the most
madman.
yeah, exactly.
I'd jump out of my apartment window. I'd be like, just lie to
I
me, just lie to me, Bobby. Just lie to me.
yeah,
Tell me it's all gonna
yeah.
be okay.
That would be so awful.
Not only is the Warren Commission correct, I would like to point the national spotlight on two domestic terrorists, Jack Roth and Tommy Carrigan. I'm just like,
You and I will be like, okay, wait, is there any way we can get hired? We can't beat them. So
I'd be like, can we
they
join the
pay really
propaganda
well.
department?
We'll join the
Can we?
propaganda.
I'll join it, man. I'll put on the. You guys still wearing Hugo Boss? Give me a uniform. I don't give a shit, man.
You go, boss.
Give me some subscribers. That's what it all comes down to. Just give me some damn subscribers. Woo. Well, I don't know if I feel better or worse after this podcast.
It's tough. It's
It
tough.
is. It's a hard. I think there's only one way to approach it, and it's how we've approached it. And it's just fill it with laughter.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way you can like rationally digest it.
I agree. You got to laugh in life, and even at the most horrible things. I mean, obviously there's a time and a place, but we're sitting here, we've done the work, we're trying to do the work, and it gets so frustrated, right? And you all of a sudden we're laughing because it's sad, or we're laughing because it's like this is just an unbelievable, right? The state of humanity as it is, and it's like, oh wow, yeah.
Do you almost wish you didn't know? You almost wish. Sometimes I look at some things and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe ignorance is bliss. Sometimes I wish I wish I could just kind of like just tap my head and just wipe it, and just be like, the country works how it's supposed to. I can't wait for Kim Kardashian's next movie or whatever the fuck she does.
Right.
Do you ever wish that?
Yeah, exactly. Just be completely, right,
Just
like a zombie, right?
Just put a drip of Valium right into the base of my brain. Just a nice little drip, just every hour or so, just a milligram of Valium right into the hippocampus, and just
it'll just be happy,
just
fine.
drooling, TikTok in one hand, McDonald's, and just
Well, listen, what was it? The JFK, what was his name? I can't remember offhand. He was a good one too. He was an early investigator in this, and he said, because people were giving him a hard time, he's like, do you think I wish I didn't know this?
Yeah.
I wish I never knew this. He goes, I would sleep so much better at night. This is horrifying. I'll never sleep well again. That's the people don't get. It's like, yeah, it is so upsetting, and it's horrifying. There were nights I was writing the book. I had to take a break. I'm like, at least I told my wife, I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
it's heavy, heavy, heavy stuff, but yeah, so yeah, I'd sleep better not knowing anything, of course, but you can't, it's like
Yeah.
like, again, as critical thinkers, we can't. We
Yeah.
can't not do anything. I could never do that. I would have been one of the guys. I would have died in Germany in the 1930s.
Yeah. I would
I
have been
would have
like,
been one
this
of
is
the.
wrong. And I just get
I would
shot
have
in the
been,
head.
yeah. I would have been one of those like an intellectual-ish, like a writer, because that's the first people they took to the camps were intellectuals, the writers, professors, because those were the critical thinkers. People
Yeah.
don't realize this. Those are the first people they had to get rid of, and they're like they took them all to these work camps. Weren't concentration camps, death camps yet, but they took them to like work. They all died anyway, but eventually, but like they got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that uh, rational, reasonable voices, objective voices. If you're Hitler, because you're
Yeah.
totally irrational.
Irrational.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I would have died, but I'm aware enough to know that I would have died thinking I wasn't gonna die. I'd be like, people are gonna hear me out and they're gonna rise up and they would just shoot me in the back of the head. Like, I
yeah,
don't think it would be some heroic, like, I'm going to the gallows knowing what I stand for. I would be so delusional that I'd be like, the resistance is gonna come up and we're gonna thwart Hitler, and they just knock on the door and stick a stop and just hello. Like, I would have at no point would I have thought I was gonna die. I was like, I'm gonna win this, and then I'm gonna go call Ike, and I'm gonna say, come on over. And no, I'd get shot in the back of the head in like 33.
yeah. Oh
I get
yeah.
shot like the night after the beer hall putsch. Yeah, that's you know. And as I'm saying that now, I'm like looking around, and I'm like, why am I doing this podcast? Like, surely enough people are gonna learn about this. You want to hear about Tommy? Yeah, no, his car took off and hit a tree at 200. Oh, I like this show.
Tree at 200.
I didn't know a Civic could go 200. Me neither. But you know what? I'm not questioning it. I didn't know. I didn't know a Honda Civic could hit 200. They're like, yeah, I'm not looking under any more rocks. Those guys in suits showed up to his apartment and took his computer.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't really care. Put on the
I just would,
Kardashians.
what I really don't think I get so angry when I watch movies about Nazis and what they do that I really think I probably I just would have gotten so angry at one of them, and then they would have beaten me, taken me to jail, and my family never see me again because I would have told them to F off and, da 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 da. And that would have been it.
Yeah, and the thing is like I think I would have done that, but I would have been under the influence that people would rise up behind me. I'd be like, guys, they can't take all of us, and I would be the person that they plot in the middle of the square, shoot in the head, and be like, any questions? And they'd be
Any
like, no.
questions? Yeah,
I think
no.
if I was alive back then and I got killed by them, and then you showed history as we know it versus the history where I died, nothing would change. The war would end the exact same day. There'd be the same number of fatalities plus one. There would be no difference in history, and it would really be you did nothing. You thought you
That
did. You did nothing. Does
I
anyone
think a
remember
lot.
me? And they'd be like, no, you didn't have, they killed you before you had kids. What do you mean?
Yeah, nothing. Just gone. And
Fuck.
that happened to a lot of people. I think a lot of
I
people
think a
live
lot of
that
people did
reality.
just,
Was it the
Jesus.
white? Was it the White Rose? Who was that really brave girl? They were
Oh yeah.
students in
Yeah, they just
Germany.
fucking killed them all.
Sophie something,
Yeah.
and they were brave, man. You want to talk about courageous?
It's just
Kind of reminded me of Kent State, but
yeah.
but they hung, and she hung. They have a picture of her right before, and she said something really composed and brave right before they hung her,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow. But it didn't do anything. It's not like the rest of Germany rose up, you
I
know.
feel like for characters like that, it's they can't live with not doing something.
Correct.
They're probably in that moment they might be delusional, but I'm sure if you actually were able to like press time out and let them think it over for a couple of days, they'd probably be like, yeah, I know nothing's coming of this, but they're like, I can't. I'll kill myself. If I
Right.
go the rest of my life, they'll be like, I'll just drink myself to death. And it might be more of like a personal thing where it's like, I have to go out like this.
Yep.
Well,
Oh, now, okay, great
anyways,
show.
anyways,
No,
everyone, this
look,
show's This show's sponsored by, I don't know, fucking whiskey. This show is sponsored by Jack Daniels. Go get shit faced. Go buy a copy of the book.
Rat poison.
Yeah, this show is sponsored by carbon monoxide. Go fucking add a pipe to your car. Listen to the book on tape in a garage.
Oh man.
No,
Whew.
no, there is freedom in it. There's liberation in it. I wouldn't do
Of
these if I
course.
didn't. There's no other. You have to. It is what it is. So just to acknowledge it and then just move forward. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know.
you gotta do what you gotta do and live with yourself and
Yeah.
we're doing the right thing and people listen and it's good. At some point I think the power will be broken somehow.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take a enormous bloodletting,
Yeah.
but like the Civil War, right? Like that was a bloodletting that had to happen. And unfortunately, every so often in humanity, there needs to be this huge bloodletting in order for things to get better for a while until they get bad again. And then there needs to be another bloodletting. I'm trying to be positive, and then it keeps going back.
I'm like, where are you going? We're gonna have to kill almost everyone so that can be good for like 50 years, and then we're gonna have World War One. And that's going to kill
Right.
like 50 times as many people as the Civil War. And then it's
And
good. No, no, no. And then we're going to have World War II. And that's going to kill like twice as many people. And then we're good. Mm-mm. So we have the Cold War, which lasts for literally 10 times as long. Jesus Christ. As I'm walking this out, I'm like, it's madness.
It's humanity. It's
It's
human
just
nature.
madness.
Yeah.
It's madness. I don't even know how to walk this out on a positive. Buy the book. I don't know. Subscribe to the podcast so I can get some. I don't.
You listen. You try to do the right thing. Truth
Yeah.
matters. It does
Yeah.
matter. So, and then you want to teach your kids the right
Yeah.
thing, and you want to try to create critical thinkers, and that's why we do what we do. And I think we are evolving slowly but surely, but I think there's a grip, an old grip. It's an old
Yeah.
grip, but it's a very strong grip. And they've been holding on for a really long time, right? This power that they have. And I think eventually it will loosen, all joking aside. And
Yeah.
I think we just got to keep doing what we're doing.
It will eventually, because if you look at the difference between 1963 and today, and we talk about how you couldn't pull something off like that, it'd be impossible. We'll walk out another 60 years. And then they'd be like, yeah, you can't even pull off a disinformation campaign, right? Like in 60 years from now, so in 2083, they'll look back at like the smear campaigns against Trump or something, and they'll be like, you couldn't pull that off today, with the same way we look at Kennedy and go, you couldn't kill him today. And if that keeps progressing over 60-year blocks, you do eventually break the power. There's no big ceremonious breakthrough. It's not Mr. Gorbachev tear down that wall.
Right.
It will just it won't be VE Day or VJ Day, but it'll kind of fizzle out, right? And one day you'll be learning about it and be like, yeah, there used to be some power structure that kind of ran the world for like 1,000 years. And we're not sure when, but sometime between 2,400 and 2,500, we can now look back and say that, that structure was dissolved. And like all joking aside, it probably will be something like that. Very slowly, very hesitantly. It'll just be like water wearing down a rock for eternity. There's no moment
Right.
where the Grand Canyon was formed, right? It's just at
Right.
a certain
Right.
point you're like, hey, look, that stream cut a mile of rock. Well, when? Over millions of years.
Right.
It didn't not do it, but there's no one day where you're like, that's where it happened, right? It's not
Right.
going to be the dinosaurs where it's just an asteroid and it's done. It'll be a river just cutting a mountain in half. So I mean, all joking aside, like I do agree with you. I do think it will break eventually. I don't think we're gonna see it, but
Mm-mm.
it is kind of funny. It's not funny. There's something deeply funny about us realizing how fucked it is and how we're never gonna see it change, but still trying. To
Yeah,
me,
we're just
there's something
putting in
deeply
so much
funny.
time.
No, I've said this before on other podcasts. Like, there's something deeply funny to me about still trying to do the right thing in a world so utterly fucked. There's something deeply, like, above all else, above like it's the right thing to do or believe in God. Above all else, there's something deeply funny to me about seeing a tidal wave coming and still just building a sandcastle. At the core of it, it makes me laugh. There's no like there is an ethical and a moral purpose to it, but deeper than all of that is like it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to like take a squirt gun and like spritz the World Trade Center on fire. You're like, this might help. Like, no, but it's kind of funny, right? And like, what else are you gonna do, man? You gotta laugh.
You have to keep a sense of humor, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's
You got to
running.
live your life, you know.
It's running on the D-Day with a gun that if you pull the trigger, it says bang. Like it's not funny, right? There's 50 cows, which like Saving Private Ryan, like Bangalore, and you're just like, boom, boom. Like above all else, it is funny. If
Yeah.
nothing else,
If nothing else.
in the eons of galaxies and planets forming and dying, and like there is something deeply funny about like charging off the ramp with like, I don't know, an inflatable bat. Like, right? It is funny. Like if you're on one of those Higgins boats with your gun, you look to the right and you see like Ronald McDonald with huge shoes, and he's like, "Fuck, I hope I don't trip in the sand." Right? Everyone's on the boats thrown up, and someone would be like, "That's kind of fucking hilarious," you know. 10
Listen, it
seconds.
doesn't work out for you, dude. You need to try stand up.
Yeah.
You
10,
always got stand up as a backup.
10 seconds. Everybody's loading the guns, and Ronald is just like, just squeezing his nose. Higgins boat empty, right in the head.
Oh my god, people are gonna be like, "What are they
People are gonna,
talking
yeah,
about?"
your agent's gonna be like, hey, what are
Yeah,
you
that
what are you doing
show.
with the book? What are you doing here? I get all those other things on the circuit. Can we not do that show again?
Yeah, listen, all these things are so serious, you know, so it's nice to just be a little lighthearted a little
You
bit
have
about it.
to. I mean, you have to. To me, this is as real as you get.
Right.
We're not pulling any punches. Like it just leads to laughter. You know, I can sit here and pretend like that's not the case, but I mean, that'd be disingenuous.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, this is my pitch for the book. If you want to laugh like we're laughing right now, if you're looking at us and you're like, I'll have what they're having, buy the book.
Buy the book.
Buy the book. It's better than laughing gas. Buy the book. It's better
because
than
at the end you're
down the
like,
street.
man, are we screwed?
Yeah, you don't need some good weed or a drink. Buy the book and listen to this podcast, and you too will be laughing. So I don't know. But I think we should wrap it up on that point before I tank the sales of your book any further than I already have. Uh, as always, dude, it's a pleasure talking to you. I'd love to have you on here again. In the
Yeah.
description is the link to the book, and all the other links that I need to have in there are in there. Um, Closing thoughts, man?
No, just, thanks for having me on again. Always love to chat with you.
Yeah, it's
And
fun.
yeah, listen, it is fun, and it's different. It's nice. It's a nice
Yeah,
change of pace. But no, all seriousness, man, it's like this is important,
yeah,
and that's why we're talking about it. And I think that um I'm just going to keep fighting the good fight. I know you're going to keep fighting the good fight. And it's not about it's just about the truth.
yeah.
And in the end, that's the only thing that's going to matter.
Yeah.
And just finding the truth and being able to move forward as a country because we finally got to the truth. And I think that's one of the things been holding us back as a country is it's like a dark cloud over the country. Like, whoa, what happened there?
Yeah.
So, but it's all great. And I enjoy talking with you. So
Hey, man, I love having you on. It's fun to banter with. I do highly recommend the book. I wouldn't have had you on a second time if I didn't really love the book. Guys, go grab it. It's in the description. It's a 1-2 day read. You can knock it out. It is very good. And Mr. Roth, till next time, brother. Thank you so much. Guys,
thanks, man.
thank you for watching.